All right, so as we all know, tonight's theme is the Family Feud, with an accent that makes you think of Hatfields, McCoys, Deliverance, and of course, whitewater river rafting. You can't choose your family. You sure as heck can't choose who you'll be sitting next to on one of those hour-long rafting trips. My Aunt Bernie decided to surprise the whole family with a whitewater river rafting package down the Lehigh Gorge, courtesy of the Jim Thorpe River Adventures. So we got up that night, we got up that morning, 7 a.m., beautiful sunny day, drove down to the lodge, and almost forgot to mention, Bernie's been rafting for a good portion of her life, still going strong at, I won't say her age, I'll just say that she was the oldest of a family of 6. My mom was the youngest and she had me late. So after we went through the requisite safety training, then came the matter of how many people to a boat. Now Jim Thorpe's River Rafting Adventures has 6 people to a raft, and there were only 3 of us. My Dad would love nothing more than to go sailing down dangerous gorges, but Mom was healing from a recent leg injury that year. And my Aunt Bernie, like I said, loved doing that sort of stuff, but her husband said he had depth perception issues that would send us sailing into a rock. And if you include my lack of siblings, older or younger, that makes for a pretty unbalanced raft. Jim Thorpe River Raft Adventures, in their infinite wisdom, matched us up with another family of 3. A 13-year-old boy, his waif of a mother, and a very unathletic dad. I was seated next to the 13-year-old boy. Now, come on, do I look like a 13-year-old boy to you?
No.
Don't answer that, but thank you. So the river rafting trip started easily enough. We were told that since this was only a Class 1 rapid, we'd all have to steer by ourselves. It was going okay until both the mom and the kid got tired before the second leg. And all of our family was seated on one side of the raft, the right-hand side, so we kept veering off to the right. Now, I'll need to illustrate the differences between their family and ours. Aunt Bernie owned a farm. Every morning and every night, before and after her job as an industrial engineer, she would carry buckets full of feed and fertilizer to feed all the plants and animals. My dad is 6'3", built like a football player, even with the desk job. And I've been lifting weights since I was 13 years old, and I got a job because I said on my resume that I could carry a couch. So now you see how far our raft veered. My Aunt Bernie, to try to get us back on track, kept shouting, paddle harder, paddle faster. But every time she shouted that, she shouted it at me. So after an hour of her shouting, paddle harder, paddle faster, paddle harder, paddle faster, I finally said, I'm paddling as hard as I can. Apparently, her saying, paddle harder, Caitlin, was her subtle, passive-aggressive way to get the other family to pull their weight. Finally, my dad decided to tell the other dad in plain English that we should switch some people around because we were veering off course. Other dad's response, yeah, I paddle kind of hard. But we did get everybody switched around, and things seemed to be going pretty well. At one point, the kayaker said, all right, this next part here is called Stuckies. We call it Stuckies because this is where rafts get stuck. And I mentioned to the waif mom that I figured that it was Stuckies because that's the name of a rest stop chain. Figured we'd be grabbing some lunch. And she just goes, that's right, Stuckies is a rest stop chain. Lady, I'm not your lazy kid. I'm 7 years older. I don't need validation for knowing about businesses south of the Mason-Dixon. But we managed to keep rowing along, and there, in the middle of the river, is a giant rock. Like 2001 Space Odyssey huge rock. We would have been able to paddle around at any other time, but this time there was a 10 raft pileup. Half the rafts were upside down, all the rafters were in the water, kayakers were zipping around trying to minimize the carnage. On top of the pileup was another instructor saying, "Go around! Do not crash into this! Go around!" And we are almost clear of the raft when another rafter bumps into us and sends my dad over the edge. But he got his leg caught underneath the other dad. So Dad's halfway under the water. He's trying to lift himself up, but his leg is stuck. Another dad's trying to grab onto him, but he can't keep a grip. So Dad finally says, "Let me go." Other dad's stumped. "Aren't you supposed to not let go of people who are drowning?" Dad just says, "You are sitting on my leg. Let me go." He does. And now that Dad's completely underwater in the Lehigh, he can swim back up, hoist himself back up to the ramp, and paddle us away from the pileup. We got to the shore all in one piece. We're still a little unnerved for everything, but my aunt, as a sort of peace offering and an apology, bought me a commemorative t-shirt that said, "Relax, damn it." For those of you who don't know, this was a damned river, so it's something of a pun. So, just so you know, if you're ever going to go on a whitewater river rafting trip, make sure it's only with people you know and love. Maybe you'll all die, but at least they'll be able to ID the bodies and contact your next of kin.